up, Valorant fans? Welcome back to the Valorant Report. I'm IHOLDSHIFT. Let's talk day number 1 of what's going on in the WePlay Invitational, this Ignition Series event showcasing 8 of the best in Europe. And well, I think there's probably going to be a bit of a divide between our top 4 and our bottom 4, but someone's got to sneak into 5 and 6, so we'll kind of figure those results out as we go. But day number 1, we're just opening matchups where really, as we talked about yesterday in our predictions, the top 4 teams are playing up against what were probably going to be the bottom 4 teams, and the results would mimic that. Starting things off with NIP versus Forza, it was Haven 13-8, Bind 13-7, and there were some tense moments in there in Haven, especially while watching this newly formed roster for Ninjas in Pyjamas get their feet wet competing. But let's be real, all 5 of these guys are absolutely nasty, and when Korea goes back-to-back for 21 kills in each of those 2 maps, it makes life a touch easier. So they escaped from Forza with relatively comfortable 2-0s for the most part. In Party Parrots versus Need More DM, this was a little bit more on the tenser side for a couple of different reasons. The tournament is best of 3 all the way through, but they are using the newly established overtime rules where you have to win by 2. So how about this? Our first tournament multi-overtime rounds came through, as the first map would be on Haven when 15-13. Shao would be the big participant here to help the squad clutch things up when he was playing on Raze, and then also get them over the hump and light things up to make sure that Bind was a pretty easy stomp. That was a 13-6. Party Parrots, as expected, able to take their 2-0. Speaking of stomps, let's go over to Fish123 versus Prodigy. Fish123 had 0 issue with Prodigy on Haven. They took 10 defensive rounds, starting on the defensive side first in the first half. Ascent was a touch tighter, 13-9, but that's where we saw that Scream is able to showcase why a lot regard him as one of the best in European Valorant right now, and why this addition as a full set-in 5-man roster is going to provide some very scary stuff in the future for Europe. So 13-2 on to Haven, 13-9 on the Ascent. Fish123 find themselves a 2-0. And then a little bit of controversy. We talked about it yesterday as far as who was going to be the last team to join us in our 8-team invitational. Nolpenki would be able to get themselves in with a little bit of controversy, as there was speculation that a team that was on the other side of the bracket from them was actually cheating, and there was discussion of whether or not the grand finals of the bracket should be replayed. Nolpenki did not get a chance to play their final matchup until 5 o'clock in the morning, which is why when I recorded my predictions video, we weren't sure who the team was going to be. So as they were going up against this G2 Esports squad, I feel like when everyone talks about G2, the first name that pops up is Mixwell, and not nearly as much hype as following along with Artis. I think this is the tournament where we'll see a little bit more of a coming out party in favor of Artis more seriously. He popped for 20 plus kills in both games, 13-7 on split, but then Ascent would be a little bit tighter, as it would go to a double overtime situation where it'd be 14-12. And with that in mind, again, G2 coming off their win from the Vitality series, you still have to show some love to Nolpenki, because what, they had to stay up through the entirety of the night just to get qualified and then turn around and play G2, and they stayed competitive all the way through. And of course, the hacking allegations have been alleviated, at least from their name, so they're good to go. So here's a look at what our standings are. And again, I've tried to update the graphics a little bit for you guys to give more of a visual representation of what the days are looking like. Fish123, Ninjas in Pyjamas, Party Parrots, and G2 Esports all sit with a 1-0 total in this quote-unquote group stage. The best way, and I think the way this is working, is tomorrow is going to be a lower matchup and then higher matchups. So the teams that went 1-0 will play up against each other. The teams that went 0-1 will play up against each other. So what I imagine is going to happen on the day after is teams that finish 1-1 will go up against each other. So if you win 2 matches, I think you're in. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's the way that works, but if you win 2, you're in. You lose 2, you're out. It's kind of what it feels like at the moment. I have to imagine that's going to be the way that they kind of seed things through. So just kind of keep that in mind. And why they're listed from top to bottom like this, it's by overall round differential, not map differential, but round differential to seed them. So for our lower matchups tomorrow, we've got Need More DM playing up against Forza and Nolpenki playing up against Prodigy. And really, when we look at these lower matchups, I'm kind of looking at these as an indicator of who can hang in the top 6 in the EU right now and who just still has some more work to do. For the most part, this whole tournament is either mostly new rosters or teams we have not seen really be proven at the highest stage in Europe. So this is going to be a pretty good indicator. For these 2 matchups, though, to start the day off, I'm most excited to see if if NoPenky has what it takes to play at the same level that they did against G2, but obviously being able to take it a touch further and find a way to beat Prodigy. That's the matchup that I'm most excited for, because I think Prodigy has a lot riding for them as well. The DM and Forza matchup, I think will be close, but again, we're still learning more about what these teams are going to bring to the table. But overall, I think I'm just more excited to see if this NoPenky team can rise past the controversy and find a way to fight for that top 6 position. In our upper matches, or our winner matchups, you want to call it that, these are going to be a little bit more specific to break down. For Fish 1-2-3 versus NIP, my favor, I think, has to be on the side of Fish 1-2-3. NIP largely still are learning to play with one another, and the coordination that we're seeing from what was the non-duelist comps from Fish 1-2-3 were actually really, really impressive. So if they can bring that to the same level tomorrow versus NIP and make sure that nobody from NIP can pop off and take over a game, I think that this should be a favorable matchup for Fish 1-2-3. In my opinion, I've got this one going 2-0 in favor of the Fish. On the Party Parrots versus G2 Esports game, though, I think the question kind of lies, should you be a bit concerned over G2's close game versus NoPenky today? I think maybe, but should you be concerned about them versus Party Parrots tomorrow? I don't think so. It feels like Shao needs to go huge to give the Party Parrots squad a chance at beating a team like G2, especially considering that the last time these two squads played, they got handled, really with the exception on Haven, which was the map that they won 13-5 or something like that, but they lost 13-5, 13-6. The games really weren't that close, so I anticipate G2 will have no problem there to move on. Hope you guys enjoyed the recaps. Again, I'm trying to keep them a little bit short and concise for you guys just to give you the results and some of my insights. Of course, make sure you join on with the stream at WePlay Esport _EN, I think is the official link on Twitch to get there and watch the games live tomorrow, as we'll decide who gets qualified, who gets knocked out, and who still has to play one more time to see who finishes off in our top 4 playoff bracket, which is single elimination as we get there. Until the next video, though, hope you guys out there keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.